guess so.
Start streaming. We're actually starting on time. This is awesome.
Woo.
Okay, go back to this. Refresh. Should be working. I think you're working. Refresh again. Make sure the audio is muted.
I'm the best pilot.
Yeah.
Unequivocally. Sorry.
There we go. This, and we are live. Okay.
Excellent. Just in time.
So let me bring up this. Alright, ready? Good to go?
Yep.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third BoBCast podcast. My name is Nick, virtually sitting alongside a smaller panel with Tom, Sean, and Mark. We do have quite a bit to cover about this week. A Russian hacking group has stolen over 1 billion passwords, which is now affecting 400,000 different websites. We don't know any of the websites, but this does affect 500,000 email accounts. Also, the number of pre-orders are significantly down. We'll have our own input on the matter. We'll also be touching on the newest hardware, including AMD's Kaveri, something like that, APUs, we'll also be touching on the growing passive cooler market, which is the coolers that don't have any fans. And also we're going to be touching on the latest 880 rumors. All of this and more on the third BoBCast podcast. It didn't play. God dang it. I had everything working perfectly. I thought it was going to... Oh, it's just not playing at all.
Wow.
There it is.
Cast production value 0. I'm leaving.
Nah.
Yeah, you
Shut
should
up.
definitely do that the whole podcast, bud.
Jesus, that was so loud.
And again, welcome back to the podcast. Again, lots of stuff to cover, but first of all, let's kind of cover some of the more things that we've been doing on our own. We had a LAN party, at least attempted to have a LAN party on
We tried.
Saturday. That worked out really well for us. Basically, I transported my computer from school, which is a real pain in the ass generally. And somewhere in that process, I think the SATA cable was damaged. But, of course, knowing us, we didn't think of, that as a simple fix. We thought it had something to do with the motherboard. So we attempted a BIOS update, we cleared the BIOS, we tried a different hard drive. Basically, we stripped everything out of the computer to its simplest state. Still couldn't figure it out. We thought it was a RAM stick, because we pulled the RAM stick out, and then it suddenly worked perfectly fine. So we're like, oh, that's it. That must be it. That didn't fix it for long. Anyway, this all started because I was upgrading my power supply, which we mentioned the economy that continues to grow. It's just the self-sustaining economy of one person's old part becomes another person's new part.
Pretty much.
I had took Mark's old 650-watt power supply because mine was just randomly, I think, shutting my computer off. Well, that has seemed to stop with this. However, you've given me a possessed power supply, Mark. What is this beeping sound? Because I know you were talking about it before. I didn't know what it was.
I didn't know it was coming from my power supply. I had no idea where it was coming from. So.
Well, now you do know.
Oh,
and
yes.
now Nick knows all too well.
He does, and I suggested to him that he might want to ARM it, because they might even upgrade him to like a 750.
That'd be pretty,
So,
bro.
yeah.
I might do that. It seems like a lot of work.
If it bothers you that much, I know that you can do like a thing where you can keep yours until they send you the new one.
Ooh.
But you have to give them a credit card or something for
Yeah,
the deposit.
sure.
But then when you send it back, you'll get it back. So you won't have to you won't be without a power supply for however many weeks that takes.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, going along with that, I mean, the games we've been trying to play a lot. Arma 3, that's something I think we've kind of revisited lately. I think it's becoming a lot of fun. I've been uploading videos both on my Stu2552 channel and the Bob Band of Bros channel as well. I don't know, why do you guys why do you think Arma 3 is such a fantastic game, or do you not think it's a fantastic game? Anyone? Because Sean doesn't have it. We have to convince Sean.
Yeah, we
right
need to
now.
actually
Maybe
convince
Sean should
Sean.
buy it right now.
Get
Sure,
this.
sure.
John,
So-
you should get this game. 'Cause
I'm
it's
still just
amazing.
playing my I'll get my $6 out of FTL. So
That's
No.
fair.
They're different. There's different experiences entirely. You can't
That's
play
true.
with the Band of Bros on FTL.
yeah, well, we got to play more Payday. is
I love-
just
I love
getting
to.
Post podcast payday.
we're off some
But for
banks.
now, let's stick to Arma and why it's so great.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm still like, it looks good, and I'm definitely like not like against it, but I'm still like, from what I've seen of the new, like, I'm entering this new PC gaming world, and $40 for a game is not nothing, and I'm still like going through my Steam
mean,
sale
I
stuff,
guess.
and I can't just like go ahead and just not install half the games I bought in the Steam sale, but I'm hoping to at least play through.
Sean, let me stop you right there because you're going to have a large back catalog. That's just like part of being a PC Master Race, participant. So you might as well just give up trying to actually play through all the games you own. That's not going to happen.
Maybe. In a long time.
Yeah,
well, eventually.
After the apocalypse. That
Yeah,
kind
right.
of wiped out, and I can only have... It's like that Twilight Zone, where like the guy, everybody dies, and there's just the one guy, and he just wants to read books, but it's me playing through my Steam library.
Yeah, well, it would be the same thing, too. Like, he breaks his glasses, you would, like, blow a
Break my
fuse or
monitor.
something, and then, you break your monitor, so you just can't
Lose a
actually...
RAM stick.
Yep.
that'd be just a slight issue. I mean, I know one of the first places I go in the zombie apocalypse, Micro Center. Have to make sure I get all the latest things from my computer.
Oh, yeah.
I would build the
People would be
best
like-
build.
They'd be, like, looting, like, supplies out of grocery stores, getting cans and, like, toiletries and shit, and I would just be sweeping Devil's Canyon CPUs into my cart. I'll use all of these.
Hey, Micro Center is a pretty wonderful like candy aisle and like
that's true.
a refrigerator
Gamer fuel?
full of energy drinks, which is
And
real
do they have
important.
those, like Gamer Chow? It's I don't even know what
Gamer
it is.
Grub, dude.
Gamer Grub, that's what it is.
Gross.
Those things
I've
are-
actually had some. It's pretty good.
What
As
is
soon
what
as
is
you
it
can-
even?
I mean, the one I had was like s'mores, so it was kind of like granola and like just covered in chocolate and marshmallows. It was really good.
Nice.
So, pro tip, sponsored by no
If only. Hey, listen, if you want to
incoming
sponsor
sponsorship.
us, Message us,
Micro Center's
tweet at
response
us.
to stream.
PM me. Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of a random topic. What do you like when you game on? Typically, what do you usually eat or drink when you're playing games for like a longer duration?
Well,
Beers, generally.
this guy.
I like your thinking.
But no, my life hack to the listener is chopsticks and like finger foods are the best because you could like eat chips or whatever with your chopsticks, but not get your keyboard greasy.
Ah, shut up.
What? Wait, are you trying to tell me you eat potato chips with sticks?
Yeah,
Is that what
Yes.
you're trying to tell me right now?
yeah. Dude, don't
God,
knock it till
God.
you try it.
God damn it,
Once
Sean.
you've done it, you'll never go back.
I will go
Hold on,
back.
let me just get the list of things Sean's wrong about. Like, just fucking write that down. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
God.
Like you seriously do this?
Yeah,
This is a thing that he does, I don't doubt.
Beer and chopsticks. But hold on, going back for a minute on the whole Steam library thing, I have 123 games,
Holy shit.
68 of which are installed, and I just counted, I've played 49 of them. So,
So I like how you installed something that you didn't play.
well,
What happened?
I'll get to them.
Generally, it's like the humble bundles. Like whenever you get those games,
I don't even
like I
install those.
just like activate the code just so like no one could take them, and then they just kind of sit there.
Yeah, I don't even install them. I
Yeah.
just in my library.
I mean, I bought the Star Wars pack just for Battlefront 2.
I got a bunch of those, but I have Jedi Outcast, Academy, Public Commando, KOTOR. Those are all
Mhm.
good.
Fun stuff.
Some haven't played any of those, but
Natch.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I think I have like
go
about
ahead.
160 or so games. I don't know how many are installed.
You have, I
Let's
think
see.
I think you have the most out of anybody. I'm fairly
I think I have the
sure.
most. I have 177 games. I
Jesus.
have 101 installed. How do you tell how many you've played?
I just
Counting them
I counted
manually?
them.
Or you just guessed? Because
I
I,
just-
would say most.
Yeah, I just counted them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was around 40, 48, 49.
How many hard drives do you have in your computer then to like have all of those games installed, Tom?
I mean, I have 1 terabyte. They're all installed on the 1 terabyte drive. I have
kinda
3. I have the 64 gig boot drive, solid state, and then 1 terabyte for games, and and all my other programs, and then 1 for just like random stuff like movies, music, media, basically what I record footage to and stuff.
I am actually very similar to that. I just had to start installing games on my media drive because I ran out of space on my other one. But yeah, same thing. 3 hard
You gotta do
drives.
some pruning, man.
I really need to just like look through everything I have installed because I know Pinnacle. When I used to use Pinnacle as a video editor, it would just store like everything,
All
like,
your temporary files.
like any
and shit.
temporary
Yeah.
file. Like I was looking through my computer. Like I forget, was it WinterStat? I think that's what the one program that's like the really colorful like display where you can take all the colorful blocks of like everything that's like how much space it takes up. But, like I saw like one like giant square. Like what is that? It's all these temporary files by Pinnacle that amassed to like 500 gigabytes of just things I don't need. So deleted that. Because I just saw, and actually it was PC Master Race subreddit. Someone had a screenshot. It was a text file that was 500 something gigabytes. It was like a directory
Ridiculous.
file. I don't even know how that's possible.
Oh man.
It sounds like a novel at that point.
But space sniffer pro tip. That's what I use to
I love that thing.
check your because it's got the nice graphics where
I
it's like
just like to
That's
watch.
what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Space Stiffer. That's what I'm thinking of. With all the
Yeah.
colorful boxes and everything.
yeah
Yeah, okay,
and
that's
it's
what
like
I'm
as it's tabulating you can like see them growing and you're like oh why do I have so many fucking drivers?
I always get rid of those.
Because NVIDIA saves all their old ones still, don't they?
Yeah, but see, pro tip, they also there's a thing called a driver store. So when you like restore your old drivers, that's what it goes back to. All of those NVIDIA drivers, even if you delete, what you think are the driver files, all of those are still in the driver store. So now the problem is if you just start deleting drivers, you may have an issue. But I mean, I live on the edge, so. And the tool that I use to do that is called Raper. Or RAPR. Not sure who came up with this.
Dude,
I
I've been
found
using
it on the internet.
at work Sex Tractor, which is the name of like an astronomy program, and the file extensions for like its files are .sex. And like occasionally, like you
What's
make
that?
sex machine. Like people just had a day with this one. Like there's just so much.
Open source,
Dude, those
I imagine.
astronomers are renowned horny. I mean, that's just a thing.
Exhibit A.
All right.
God damn.
Why do we invite you?
I don't know.
God damn it! All right, moving on.
Nobody
Moving on.
knows.
All right, do you want to start touching on, I guess, some of these bigger news stories? Again, we mentioned the giant hack. This really didn't even start coming out until today. I first saw it on Kit Guru, but finally the national headlines are starting to actually talk about it. And it's this Russian criminal group, apparently from whoever discovered that this actually happened. They're really like a close-knit group, so that's why I guess they were able to do it really well. It took 1.2 billion usernames and password combinations from 400,000 different websites. Many of them are, quote, high profile. But it never releases any information about which specific websites have been targeted. And apparently they also don't know how they were to do it so easily. So like they don't know the loophole. So many people are saying like don't even bother changing your password because they can just do it again and using the same loophole.
Yeah.
But the way they did this was with like an SQL wonderful thing. So I don't know if any of you want to touch
SQL wonderful
on this. I looked up on it briefly.
As they are called.
And it was I kind of understand how it all works, but I'm just going to leave this to people who actually know what the hell they're talking about. So any of you want to take this one up, either Tom or Sean?
They use bots to crawl the web, and that was probably the ingenious part because
Yeah, that was really what made it so cool.
Because an SQL injection is just so like when you type something into a search bar on a website, it just like goes to a database. Like they look at the database for what you said, and what you can do is you can type like something and then a semicolon and then commands in the database language, and the database, if you don't write your website well, your database will just take it and just do what you said. So you could type in like get all the users of this website and it'll do that. But if these websites are vulnerable to that, like that's like web programming 101 to not let that
Basically,
be
yeah.
possible. And also, if they stored usernames with passwords like together in the database, that's also a huge no-no because of this sort of thing. So the websites that this was vulnerable to, like they will not be like your Googles and your Facebooks and like that kind of stuff because that's like fucking easy shit.
It's amateur hour over here.
Amateur hour,
basically.
yeah. But the way they use bots to crawl the web and look for these sites is probably what was the ingenious part. But
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, cool in the like scary
In the
shit your
hacker
pants
way.
kind of way. Yeah, in the hacker way, not in the.
because yeah, there was nothing mind blowing about this. These aren't like Tony Stark fucking This
This isn't a revolutionary hack. This is pretty basic stuff. It's just
they
that
just took advantage of
people
shitty
don't
websites.
have. Yeah, that basically people don't actually. I don't know.
I guess the
hire
one thing,
appropriate
like-
security professionals.
I say the thing with this though is that many people will have the same password for multiple things. So again, theoretically, if they have the email address and the password for one thing, and if it's like a Gmail address, it could very well be the
Oh yeah,
same
that's why
password.
this is super dangerous.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, briefly on hashing things. The whole concept of hashing is that you can run your password through like a function, and basically it'll put out some data, and from that data you can't get the original password. Now, a good website will have like a site-specific thing that they add to your password to make it so that when they hash it, basically it's different if you use the same password on different websites. But as you kind of point out before the cast, Sean, like these people who don't already are vulnerable to this super simple attack probably aren't taking these types of security questions into consideration. So
Which is kind of like
Yeah.
kind of a scary thing. Like we use all these websites and like throughout our day-to-day life, and you really don't know. You have no idea what kind of security, and you have a lot of trust in the goodness of
Right.
the web server. And
yeah, well, that's why I mean, in general, passwords, like if I'm okay with a certain website getting hacked, I just use my like general password, because it's like, what are they gonna do?
well, they say that like use a different password at every site, but does anybody actually do that? Like
I mean,
I know
I
my
do the
financial
passwords.
ones. I have different, like financial ones, like my bank, my PayPal, my eBay. Like those are all different passwords.
Well, I have
Yeah.
I have a couple different passwords. I don't have like one universal password, but like I don't have like 40 passwords. Like who in
well,
the
I do the typical thing where it's like I have a base password, and then
You add-
for every website you add on a bit of different. you know.
identifying feature. That's what
Yeah.
I like I should do. But what I have the correct, I go by the correct horse battery staple method for most of my
Yeah, right.
ones. I have like a couple 24 character passwords that I use.
Just
Again,
sure.
what
Guys,
the-
everyone just remember, length is more important than well.
In passwords
It-
and
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, and there it is, right there, just on the table.
God damn it.
God damn it, Sean! You gotta subtext is very important.
So with this hack right now it's not really sure what's going to happen with all this information, because apparently nothing has been sold or given away to anyone. It's really just being used to spam like Twitter and like social media sites like Twitter right now. And I mean, they very well could sell a lot of this information for a lot of money. So that's kind of weary, because we don't really know exactly what's going to happen with this. But apparently, again, they haven't sold anything yet, so we'll see.
well, yeah, apparently they know a lot of information about them. Like
Yeah.
they know where they're from. They know vaguely who they are.
Because I'm trying to figure out, because whoever detected this are the same people that detected the target breach as well. So they're actually really good at what they do.
The target breach was pretty subtle. That one took a while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was-
Well,
I was
the way-
affected by the target breach. Woo!
Haha.
Yeah, the way they got into the target breach was the maintenance guy for the HVAC system had like full network privileges, and then they hacked that company that was like contracted to do the maintenance.
Why are they
So-
storing? Can you maybe explain this to me?
People.
Why are they storing PIN data? Because wasn't that like the
Target?
whole thing with the Target thing? Like they just had
But
all
they
the
also had pins. Yeah, well, that's just a poor security decision on their part.
Like, can you like? I mean, I don't really. I'm not anything like retail.
Why would you ever do
Like,
that?
is there any reason why they would need to have that information?
They could just be lazy. Like you probably need at some point to like have the pin in memory to like check that it's accurate, and then they're just like, well, let's hold on.
Well,
to it. Might need it.
actually, no, they weren't storing the pin data. Sorry. In Target, they weren't actually storing the pin data. What happened was that the hackers managed to get a piece of software on the actual point of sale terminals.
Oh,
and so what
right.
it was doing was actually skimming the pin data out of the RAM of the terminal. And so Target wasn't actually storing it. The website or the virus was actually just pulling it out of the actual
So
point of sale.
genius. Like, it's,
round
yeah.
of applause.
like
I
that
know.
is really
You
it's
almost-
It's just getting
impressive.
more and more complex.
You almost deserve to get away from it at that point.
Again, the company that did discovered it was Hold Security. That was the company. So it's rather impressive. They're not releasing the name of the group or where they're located, even though they have that information. Because right now they're afraid of releasing it, and then apparently, like the Russian police are going to go after them. That's apparently what they're afraid of. I don't know why, but that was quoted, I believe, in the Kid Guru article or the Time one. I don't remember which one. One of these, it says it in there. So it's kind of interesting. But again, I mean, they mentioned that it's ranging from Fortune 500 companies to very small websites. So I don't know. we don't really know what's taken. That's kind of, again, the scary thing about it. But it's impressive. The other kind of big story that came out today, this actually came from Activision. Pre-orders are declining across the industry, and Call of Duty is, quote, not immune from PC Gamer.
Fucking good.
So, I mean, that's kind of a good thing that pre-orders are finally going down. Pre-orders in general are getting kind of way out of hand.
Well, pre-orders for like physical content, I don't have a problem for because you're reserving a place.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're
That's
reserving.
what pre-order was for, you know.
But now,
when you
like,
thought,
pre-ordering,
they
like-
will run out.
Pre-ordering electronic content. Like, why
Right.
would anybody do that?
'Cause I know,
To get
like,
the
bonuses,
exclusives,
man.
man.
and that's what it is. It's like, was it Watch Dogs? It had like the entire spreadsheet of like
Yeah.
pre-order
All the
bonuses
different
from
exclusives you can
all
get.
these different countries and all these different retailers, and it was
Dude, it's so you can get the iconic hat, though. I mean,
it's just
It's so iconic.
it's so
getting
iconic.
ridiculous. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the numbers are down, which is good. I mean, what's the last game that you pre-ordered? That you can think
Whichever
of?
came out first, Battlefield, or whichever came out last, Battlefield 3 or Borderlands 2. Both of which I own the actual physical copies of.
I mean,
I don't know.
if you
why-
wanted to own a physical copy of a PC game, I think that pre-ordering actually might be the only thing I could justify.
Yeah.
Just because
Well,
a lot of
except-
like, stores
no, I-
don't have it. So
I went to the midnight launch for the Battlefield 3, and they were looking for my pre-order. They're like, "Where? Oh, you're a PC. Oh, okay." And they like go into their like back drawer and pull out like one of 4 copies. And they're like, "Here you go." So I wasn't in danger of losing the place here, but I mean, whatever. I don't know why I actually did pre-order it.
because was it just because like your internet was probably really slow at your like,
Part of it was
school
the
that
internet,
gives
yeah,
you-
and I wanted to actually be able to play it like on launch at midnight, which I wasn't even able to do because it was a buggy sack of shit, and then just crashed my computer every 5 minutes.
I never had an issue with Battlefield 3. I never had
was
an issue
pretty
with that
great.
one.
Well, I kind of have issues with a lot of games I own for no reason.
I wonder if
There
it's
are
something to do
reasons.
with your overclock.
Well, yeah, there are reasons. Admittedly, yes.
Mark, when's the last time you've reserved something or pre-ordered
Can't
something?
remember if I pre-ordered. Did I pre-order BF4? Did you get the China Rising from pre-ordering?
I think
you got
did.
it from the like not exclusive edition, but it was like some special edition that primarily came from pre-ordering.
I mean, because I got that.
So that might be
So-
why.
Yes.
Okay.
Either that or I just bought it right away and I still got it. That could be it too.
I mean, I haven't. The last thing I pre-ordered would be Watch Dogs, which I actually canceled before it came out. But I did pre-order it, and then I started seeing a lot of the reviews and videos, so I canceled it. And GameStop was really sad. Like when I did it, like they were kind of they looked legitimately sad.
A little upset.
And they're like, so
Oh,
why
that's
why are you doing that? I'm like,
Why you
it just
do this?
doesn't look good. They're like, but I'm like, just stop.
But we need your money now.
Well, they're probably
Well-
pissed because that's like probably the only PC version they ordered. And they're like, fuck, what are we gonna do with this now?
It's gonna
I mean, that's the thing. Like, as Mark said, that's why they want you to do it. Like, they want your money. They want, like, guaranteed sales.
Mhm.
So that they can say, like, you know, we already know this is how much we're going to sell and stuff. So I understand why companies do it, but for us, the consumer, it doesn't do us any good.
See, I can see like why it could be good for games that like are DRM, where like you have to like they have to be able to kind of anticipate the type of server traffic, but no game has ever done it properly anyway.
Yeah, right.
Like SimCity, for example, 2 weeks after launch, you still
Yeah.
couldn't play the stupid thing. Uplay was a clusterfuck with Watch Dogs.
It was, yeah.
Oh my god,
It still is.
I managed to get through only about an hour of just bitching and yelling at my computer screen. I was able to finally get in, only to be incredibly disappointed by the game itself.
Yeah, right.
But whatever.
Dude, but it was coded in a way that you couldn't play offline. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
God. I mean, it's like that's like supposed to like try and prevent piracy, but clearly it's not working. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I hate people that keep torrenting and pirating games because it's only giving Ubisoft more reason to be like, haha, let's just make more DRM.
Okay,
Well,
question.
yeah,
and I don't want to take us too much on a tangent here. And then you can stop me, Nick, if this is going on the wrong
Go
road.
for it.
But I get that pirating is a problem, like on PC gaming, like
Mhm.
that happens. But have you guys like, do people pirate console games? Is that like an actual thing?
Yeah,
It's
you
a
can.
big thing.
Is it a big thing?
Yeah.
If you if you mod your console, you can play pirated
But like,
copies.
is like, like because that was like the big thing like a couple years ago with like the Xbox One and the always on thing is because they were fighting piracy, but like I had never even heard of it. And like I always thought that it was just it's got to be like just a small fraction, or at least I always thought it was.
If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't like there were more downloads of the console version of Watch Dogs than the PC version. Like
Possible, yeah.
I have
I'm
no
trying to
idea.
see if I can try and find it, but I remember seeing that. Like, it's not
Well,
like a.
I mean, I think the more important thing is like, if you actually look at the piracy numbers, like they're not eating into sales that significantly.
Mhm.
Like every time I see a new report by I mean, it's always some independent researcher, but they always say like the amount lost to piracy is just a small fraction of like the total game. So it's like you're just inconveniencing everyone basically to prevent a very small few who will probably still just try to pirate it anyway. I mean, or just not buy your game. So I don't know.
Because right now I'm trying to find like an actual like buy listing. All I can find right now is like the top 10 most pirated console games, and the top 10 most pirated PC games. But there's no actual list like side by side that I can find real easily. I don't know, but yeah, I know it does happen. And I think the beautiful thing, which kind of made me laugh, was when the people that were downloading the Watch Dogs or pirating it installed the Bitcoin miner on your computer.
Oh, yeah.
So the person that uploaded it would basically use your computer to Bitcoin mine.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was fantastic.
Wait,
That's
in
pretty
what? In like mods they did this?
No, it was like so you just go to a random torrent site and like you get the
It was
yeah.
Okay.
So it was like a virus included with it. But that's actually one of the better things is like when the devs get more creative with their DRM, and it's not like always on or something, but like I think it was Game Dev Tycoon, they released a pirated copy, but like they made it so that once you got to a certain point and made like a really successful video game, people would just keep pirating it, and you couldn't actually like get enough sales to keep making games because I mean Game Dev Tycoon, so like your business would just fail. And so like there was that one. Or I heard for like Arkham Asylum, I think the
they like
cape.
fucked up the cape, yeah.
Yeah, the cape like wouldn't glide as far, and so like you could only get to a certain point, and then you had to like cross a chasm, and it was just like you're fucked. So it's interesting when devs get like more creative with it and not just like it's not obtrusive. So interesting. And then there's the completely overreaching DRM schemes.
Which we're going to be getting to momentarily
Exactly.
with EA.
Yeah, you like that?
Let's just jump to that right now. Screw it. Skip all these other topics right now. Let's jump to where's that?
Nothing is set in stone, Nick.
Okay, so we mentioned on I think it was the first BoBCast.
I believe it was.
How it was EA was being so generous and giving everyone the Sims 2 Ultimate Collection for free on Origin because hey, I mean we're not going to be supporting anyone anymore, so here you go. And then apparently. Snuck in there without any mention, it had the Secure-ROM DRM included with it. So I mean that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Why would you include DRM in a free game?
Well, no, but see the thing is like this is even PC gamers have come across this before. This was actually included in The Witcher, I believe, originally. And what people hate about it is that it's like just way overstepping your boundaries. Like it not just phones home, it like sends an entire profile of your system and like tags your IP address and shit and like just really personal things, and it's like always on and always sending this information. And so when it first came to light, CD Projekt Red, the makers of The Witcher, they were like kind of backed off and they're like, well shit, okay, sorry. And actually what sparked it off was they sent like letters, like physical mail to these people that had pirated it, and people were like, how did you get like our personal information? And so then it came to light that they were using this like crazy overstepping stuff. So yeah, that's Secure-ROM for you, everyone. Also CD Projekt Red is awesome.
Yeah, and there are ways to get rid of it. People have found ways to just remove it from your computer. So if you did get Sims 2 Ultimate Collection, I imagine, or any, I know this is on like not a lot of EA games, but I know it's on a few, primarily EA games, and you can remove that. It's not too hard to do. So just when we thought EA was doing something nice for everyone, they have to just turn around and do this.
They go and pull this stuff.
Did any of you end up getting Sims 2 Ultimate Collection because of that, or no? I mean, not because of that, but because it was free. Did anyone pick it up?
I never did.
Forgot.
Okay. I think you still can if you really want to.
Oh, sweet.
All right. Moving on to the hardware side of things. AMD has their new APUs up, which I honestly am starting to get annoyed by APUs. I know they serve a purpose, but
What? How are they annoying in any way?
stop trying to focus on graphics for desktop CPUs.
Okay, you remember like 5 years ago when AMD bought out Radeon, or ATI rather, and they were like, we're going to totally make a CPU with a GPU on it, and Intel lolled, and then now they're doing the exact same thing?
Yeah,
Like,
but it's still like nothing like phenomenal. I mean, it does what
it's for the budget end. I mean, it's not. Yes, you're right. It's never an onboard graphics processing unit is never going to replace a discrete card. But like, for someone who can't afford a discrete card, or even if you're doing like, if you wanted to make like a Steam machine for like the home, like you wanted a home theater system where you wanted to do some light gaming occasionally on the couch, like this would be something you would look at.
Like I said,
But what
I
I don't
understand it serves a purpose, but
I just don't get how it can hold up, because I was looking at that one today, and it's got 2 CPU cores and then 6 GPU cores.
I think it was at the 7800. Is that one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my card has almost 2,000 cores. Like, how is that even like remotely doing anything?
No, well, the core count is like, it's they measure it. There's a lot of different measures that they use, but
Okay, so it's more to it than just core count.
yeah, it's not. Yeah,
Okay.
because these days, yeah, having 3 cores dedicated to graphics would be like 3 actual cores would be nothing.
Okay.
I think it's just saying on the actual die, this is how they divide it up, and then the GPU parts are like subdivided into their own
Okay.
thing. So, yeah.
Like I said, I know it serves a purpose, but I don't know. Cause this is what is it? What do all the consoles have? The APUs? Is that what they're all based on?
I think so.
'Cause I know Sony is for sure the PS4.
I don't. Well, Sony's doing its own.
Yeah, they have a lot of
weird
weird things going on with theirs.
It's less weird than the last generation, but it's still pretty weird with the concept like unified system memory.
Mm.
It's kind of goofy.
I always want to do something different. It just makes everything a lot more difficult to like port over. Stop, Sony.
Well, but they're using the x86 instruction set,
Which
so
is nice.
presumably you can still make the same calls, and it just works.
Which is hopefully supporting the idea that it should be really easy to port over the Master Chief Collection to PC, right? Microsoft?
Yeah,
Please?
right.
Please. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is something. The only, like I said, the one thing that you mentioned, the one thing that I would actually have any interest in the new AMD CPUs is just because, like, the LAN machine, really, it's a real easy to move around. Granted, you won't be able to handle games really all that well, but I mean, it does decent. I mean, I know with Haswell, I don't think we have any specific benchmarks on this page. Let me see if I can find them. But I know, like the Haswell, the 4600 HD graphics are actually fairly decent. I mean, they're just a little bit behind like the old GTX 560 Ti, which is still not going to be able to handle things super well, but I mean, it's not bad.
I think all the benchmarks I've seen, I think, say that you can do like 1080p gaming at 60 FPS for most things.
Really?
Which, yeah, I mean, that's like what you shoot for typically. At least like
impressive.
When you're trying to just get the baseline.
Because I don't think almost every what do you want to call it, the like benchmark I've seen with these has either been by like 1024 or by 768 or some like smaller one. I didn't know you could do the 1080p with that. What is this? This is what is this even? Is this frame rate? I don't know what this is. Maximum GPU, whatever. Anyway, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
APUs are a thing, and they serve a purpose, but I still think they shouldn't be trying to push them.
Well, it's just a
heavily.
weird it's a weird overlap of like, do you own a desktop computer but also don't want to spend more than $500? Like, there's most people who are going to go into PC gaming aren't going to go for like go that low end. I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
like,
it's really not that hard to build a budget PC. I mean, we wish we can touch on our $500 build. I mean, we're talking like a lower, like a mid-range AMD CPU, and then I think we had a 260X, I think, in there for like $500. I mean, it's a pretty decent gaming machine. I mean, I think honestly, don't if you're gonna build a PC, save up a little bit more to get like a dedicated graphics card, just because you can. Like, don't just rush into it. That's kind of how been my whole thing with like that's the same thing even with like lower end graphics cards. Like, don't waste your money on such like a poor GPU. Just at least save more to get a better one.
That's why with my brother's computer, I gave him some bad advice, but he got a pretty shitty GPU, and now we're going to have to upgrade it like from the box because it's just not good enough. And it's not worth anything.
I mean, I think it's also worth considering though, like just that desktop enthusiasts or even gaming desktops like aren't the only market here. I mean, just in general, you can put these in kind of anything. So
that could be something that AMD is still just trying to prove to like if the next console generation comes, like, hey, look what we can do still. Make sure you choose us again.
Yeah, I mean, they're also a business, so they're going to try to make money where they can.
Speaking of CPUs, how about the new passive cooling, which has kind of been growing? It's kind of ridiculous.
Well,
a lot of
one
these,
more than zero is still growing, but
yeah, I guess that was the thing. Like, I don't know that I would say these are going to like start taking the world by storm, but
so I read that
interesting.
Thing. It says that the cooling like sponge or whatever, like it's a passive temperature of like 100 degrees. Like that's still kind of hot.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if I want
Fahrenheit or Celsius.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
like it's not bad, but like I don't want to bump that accidentally. That's still like not bad.
I mean, yes, but open up real temp right now and tell me. I mean,
I'm running at like 40 idle.
It's really
Celsius.
impressive, like cooling tech. But I don't know what they said that they're getting like way faster cooling times, right? Like than like a fan.
I don't know.
Did they say that? Somebody said that they could get up to like 500 times better cooling than like a standard fan cooled system. Which, if a standard fan cooled system is, what are you guys standing behind my computer and blowing on it as I'm playing? Maybe. But I don't understand how this couldn't be improved by having one fan thrown in at the bottom. Like, it's really cool and it's a really elegant idea, but I don't really know where
where it fits in. It's definitely one of those just kind of like oddities that you're just like, eh.
Would
you pair it up with the APU, and then you have a completely silent home theater PC.
There you go.
Works out.
I mean, would you get this in your
decorative
computer?
art piece?
And right? It's like a set.
I would not
piece. hide
that under my desk. It's very beautiful.
You just can't touch it. That's the only downside.
Like, don't touch it. It is hot.
Yeah, because it says the exterior surface temperature never rises above 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which is still, like you said, fairly hot.
Still minor burns.
Yeah, I'm trying to contextualize that. Like, I'm trying to think of like that's like touching my stove. Like, I turn it to high and then wait 30 seconds like before it like really warms up and like touch it. Like, I don't know.
Why would you be touching this in the first place, though?
Because I'm trying to figure out how hot 120 degrees is.
Well, like,
obviously,
for science.
I mean, that's not that hot for a computer.
Well, no, but like it's hot. It's just an exposed copper sponge. Like, it's the whole top. If like the whole top of your computer was 100 degrees, like I'd bump my knee on it. Like, oh shit.
Oh, is that how it works? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the whole. It's not just like the PC. Like the whole cooling structure. I think. I mean, that's how.
From that picture, that is what it looks like. But I don't.
It's just it's bizarre looking. I mean, it looks pretty massive too. Because I mean, wasn't this supposed to be designed for like just one? Like, I don't think this cooler was supposed to be actually going out for sale. So it wasn't actually just for like a machine itself.
Well, the machine's like $60,000 or whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. It's I mean, they were trying to crowdfund to support this, which they had a goal of
crowdfund my build.
Yeah, I mean, it was $60,000 to get the unit into production. You can pre-order one of 3 versions, and it's the version, it's a PC that you are pre-ordering, not the actual cooler.
Oh, how much is it?
Let's see. There's 3 versions. The first version, which was the higher end or the low end one, was $930 US. It's 8 gigs of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive. That's the only information they give. So, who knows what any of that's actually like. The mid-range one, $1,030. You get 26 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive, and then the top one...
26 gigabytes of RAM? Why did they
I think it's needless to say that these are, high-end prices
sure.
And more just like a...
maybe it's 16.
Something
that's got to be a typo, because like the top end one is 16 gigs of RAM, 1,000 gigabyte SSD.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
That's 1,500 SSD. I mean, I know that's a thing, but that's a little excessive.
Little excessive.
I mean, I guess if you're paying this much money for a copper sponge on your CPU, I guess you can
Yeah.
go out and get a little
Well,
bit more.
yeah, you're definitely absorbing the manufacturing costs on this one. Like,
Yeah. I mean, another passive cooler I've seen a lot of people talk about is the like washing machine looking thing. It's the no fan ice pipe fanless CPU cooler.
No fan and fanless.
Yeah. Well, no fan's a brand.
yeah, that's the
And it's the
maker.
fanless CPU cooler. And there's two versions of this. There's the 80-watt ice pipe cooler and the 95-watt copper ice pipe cooler. And it's, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I
It's
guess like we're hitting a
giant.
lot of like I don't know what the point of this things today is, but like is the slight hum of your fan such a problem for all of you that you would really need to do this? Or
That's why I went with water. But no.
okay, let's
That's
be real. Is
another
that actually what it was, or
thing.
just because you wanted to just waste, not waste money, but
Well,
spend
I
money
don't waste
on
money.
it.
Okay, I'm just on an eternal quest to upgrade my rig as much as it can be.
get your Windows Index score up?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Which is why I put the lights in.
Can
Right,
you put
so
other
LED
liquids
thing
into
you
your
can
water
use.
cooler, or does it have to be water?
You can put whatever you want, dude. It's a bunch
Well,
of
yeah.
tubes.
I mean, could you put like
You mean, would I
could you put
feasibly
more
do that?
advanced and more advanced cooling?
Weren't we just talking about filling it with lube? Mark
We
that down.
weren't.
We're gonna see how that works.
No,
All
put
right.
it with like vodka and then like just like
Yeah,
have some-
flammable things would probably go really well with being heated.
If it just blow it at the top fire like every time you boot on your PC.
it's
Yeah,
aesthetic. It'd
maybe.
be awesome. Yeah, one
Right.
cool thing with this giant cooler, they have a really sweet graphic of how to, or animation of how to install it. But I mean, it's so massive. Like, I mean, you'd have to get really low profile RAM in there. But again, I mean,
They
it's
make
cool.
it for a reason.
I mean, more importantly, though, if you do put a fan on this, just the added fan that you could just somehow put on this, like, that would be phenomenal cooling.
I guess that's
Like my case,
If
I had like the
it's already
giant 200
good.
millimeter like side panel. Like I had like that blowing on this giant like washing machine. Like that would be like great cooling, I would say,
it could work. It could work.
because it has 4 heat pipes that go throughout the whole thing. 160 points of contact for all the little metal fins. And it's also not just copper. They do have if copper's not your thing, they have the steel ones as well, or the brushed bronze, or what the hell, not bronze. It's steel. I don't know what they call
What
it.
asshole is like, you know what? I don't want copper. I demand brushed steel only in my rig.
I mean,
Well,
if it looks,
At some point,
I
you get
mean,
into thermal, like how good they are.
Well, that's what you would have to.
Heat.
That's the first thing I would do is like, what's the heat capacity of this? Like,
because I mean, I'm looking through some of the comments on here. I mean, it's definitely not going to be like comparing with like your like closed loop water cooling units like the H100. But this person has an i7 Haswell, which already runs pretty hot. He has it as like idle about 54 degrees Celsius. When he has it stress testing, he sees it between 77 and 82. And then after stopping it, it'll fall to 60, and then after a few minutes, go back to idle to 40. So, I guess it works out pretty well. This person has an Intel 4770K, keeps it below 95 degrees Celsius, which I guess is neat. That's at all loaded. Doesn't actually say a temperature, but so, I mean, it
Have you
does
ever
work. It's
heard
just
the story, it's like a short story about like the disappearing spoon or whatever. Like a chemist makes a spoon out of gallium, which melts at like
Oh, yeah.
102 Fahrenheit or whatever, and the guy
Yes.
puts it in his tea and it melts. You can make
I have a
that,
whole book
but in a
about
heat
that.
sink. And then like somebody's just rig will be covered in melted metal. I'm like, what's happening?
That would really suck a lot.
That would cost
Yeah.
me a lot of money to do for that prank. And
Worth
that
A lot of money too.
Definitely worth it.
well,
Yeah, right. And then they just have melted metal all over their Mobo. So
I gotcha.
I don't know, Mark, would you get one of these? I think you've seen these before, like the giant one.
We
Would
were.
you-
Well, I didn't. I still haven't seen the giant one. I saw these other ones we were looking at, just like I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Mm.
So, I mean, I guess to answer your question, the reason I got the water loop was to get it cool so that I could overclock when I overclock.
Mhm.
And the theory that maybe that is what constantly gives me issues. But honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
That one's up there.
All right, so moving on to just future hardware upgrades. These are down the line. The first DDR4 RAM units are starting to pop up. I mean, it's going to be definitely paying a premium for them. But one of the first ones are by AData. That runs at the 2133 speed, and these will be designed for the Haswell-E platform, because Haswell-E by Intel will support DDR4. They'll be the first commercial brand to actually be able to support DDR4, which is kind of neat. I don't know, DDR4, Haswell-E, any interest? I think, Tom, you definitely, I can see you getting these down the line.
No. Devil's Canyon. Devil's Canyon for life.
So wait, so
Well,
what's the
at
advantage
least
of these
When
over
I
DDR3?
when I can afford it.
I mean, theoretically, it's faster and it's lower power consumption. That's kind of like the main things with DDR4.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking already the starting point with DDR4. The starting units are 2133, which for DDR3, that's kind of your already high-end RAM units, and it can only go up from there.
It's basically like a CPU when they go down to the next generation. Like, you're going to use less power, and presumably it will be faster.
Okay.
So,
And then with Haswell-E, it's going to be the first 8-core desktop processor, which I don't think is true. Does AMD have?
yeah, AMD definitely
Yeah,
has.
AMD.
And even Intel Xeons are more than. I mean, they have like 16 cores on some of those. So
Mhm.
Don't they have those AMD like 8 cores in like the PS4 or something like that, or is that just 6?
that's an 8 core. The Jaguars are 8 core. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like maybe it's like Intel's first 8-core.
There's a lot of
That's
asterisks next to that.
Yeah, I mean,
Nope.
it's like
That's what I'm saying. The
hell?
Intel Xeons, like the server chips, they go up to like 16.
Well, this is desktop processor, not so.
Well, but you can still put a Xeon in your rig.
It's not.
They're clearly being liberal with the adjectives here, and it's like it's a desktop chip.
Be the first desktop platform supporting DDR4, and it'll be the new X99 chipset. I don't know what the X99 does exactly, but I know it's gonna be better because that's what it does.
Always is, right?
Full complement of 6, gigabit per second SATA ports, USB 3.0, obviously. Allowing manufacturers to vary the number of PCI 2.0 lanes. So, I mean, it's just better. But you're going to be paying, obviously, a giant premium for this technology. I definitely won't ever see myself probably upgrading to this in the near future. Devil's Canyon, though, that's definitely something I've been eyeing for a while. I'm almost tempted to buy the dual-core, the Pentium Devil's Canyon, and then just trying to, like, overclock it. To basically play around with it. Because, I mean, it comes in at, like, $60. And if you could, like, overclock that thing is, like, a monster. I mean, you can do really, really well with that. What are you shaking your head for?
Bro, the future is parallelizability. All right? Moore's law has dropped off. We can't. Oh, no, wait, that's the breaking one. No, that's the.
No, that's
whatever.
the.
That's the transistor one.
We can't. Yeah, we can't make.
The point is, we can't make them any faster, and
they'll
now
melt
it's just
if we make them faster.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to the point where we need to just add more cores, and eventually the software side will catch up, and we'll start using those more cores.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know what, Sean?
How much parallel code? Like every time I write parallel code, I'd rather like stick needles in my eyes.
It's not
Like
that
truly.
hard.
Well, embarrassing.
I mean, it's definitely a
parallel code's
bitch,
not.
but it's
yeah,
not
like mainstream
it's not
applications.
undoable.
No, it's not undoable. It's just a pain in the ass. It's not.
I would only do it if I had a very specific application.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes it works really well, but it's not like it's not as easy as like just making your computer fast.
Yeah, it's not like there's like a program that you have, and then you just can make it parallelize. You definitely have to think about it.
I mean, that's more just saying I wanted it just to play with it. I'm not saying I'm gonna
I wanna
swap
have-
out my computer.
Oh, then I
components for
completely support that purchase. Actually,
that. I mean, like I said, Microsoft
Because
has it $60.
I get these things just to play with. So yeah. Except we already have those 6-core AMD chips. So
Yeah, which I
I don't know.
kind of use for nothing really.
Yes.
I don't know, Mark. You're kind of besides Sean, you're kind of the other most recent one with the computer. Like, do you have any interest in upgrading your CPU in the near future at all?
I don't know. Not really. I think this one will serve me well for the foreseeable future, I think.
Well, like even like for gaming, like there's not like much of an incentive to upgrade to like an i7 from an i5, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's in some cases it's almost better to go with the i5 or the i7. Just
Why is
because
that?
One of the things is hyperthreading. While you can disable it, and while it's not a huge hindrance, there are some people that have done tests to show that hyper-threading can actually hinder your game's performance. But again, you can disable that with a command prompt.
I mean, honestly, at some point you just get...
BIOS too.
You can what?
Yeah, you in the BIOS, yes.
Oh, you can just turn it off.
At some point you get diminishing returns as well, in terms of budget. I mean,
Well, yeah.
you can game just as well on an i5.
Then you
as,
can just
you know.
overclock the i5
Yeah.
to an i7, stay
So-
and higher. So, I mean, but generally, like whenever someone's trying to build like a CPU, they have a decently sized budget. I always recommend like an i5. That's kind of, I think, the go-to for most gamers right now. So, you're running Ivy Bridge, Mark, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You are correct.
And you have an i7 or an i5?
It's an i5.
i5, okay. And then Sean, you have Haswell, and do you know if it's an i5 or an i7?
It's an i5.
i5. So Tom and I both have the Sandy Bridges.
We have
the
Sandy
i7s.
Bridges, yeah. 2600K.
2600 for life. I mean, that thing is still up.
K version. K, bro.
Yeah,
K, bro.
I don't, unfortunately. That was a dumb mistake on my part. But whatever. I can still adjust it a
It's
little
the
bit.
slippery slope, Nick. See, once you get the unlocked version, then you try to overclock it. And once you start overclocking, then you need water loop. So.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're just dumping liquid nitrogen on your CPU, and here we are.
I mean, that's the next logical step for you, too, right?
Yes, actually it is.
I could try and get you some. I can.
Get the phase cooling.
Actually, no, phase change is definitely
Tom,
the
why
next.
don't you just get you some helium?
Yeah, some liquid helium.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
No,
the other
actually,
thing going...
phase change is the next, would be the next step, and those are like...
Will be the next time.
Will be, sorry, yeah.
Like, do they even sell any of those? Like, is there any type of, like, phase change cooling,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
unit
I
out
wouldn't
there?
be there if they didn't sell them.
I mean,
You
like,
can- You can buy them
I mean, is that like
if
something
you have a
get
lot
off,
of
like,
money.
Newegg? Like, is
if
that
you
something
sell
they
your car. I don't know about Newegg, but definitely on, like, Frozen CPU or something.
Okay.
Frozen
thing.
PC, whatever the fuck it's called.
Gotcha. Moving on to the other hardware news is still continuing with the NVIDIA rumors. Eventually, this card will be released. Everyone is now claiming that September is going to be the month of the 880. Because it just was leaked by Gigabyte as well. That just like in an interview, they just casually said like, yeah, you know, we're releasing the 880 G1 next month, which is like the Gamer Edition 880. So have their special little cooling and special, it'll be like factory overclocked. So, I mean, we know it's coming at some point. I wanted to ask Kevin, because he's contemplating upgrading his GPU now to like a 770. And I wanted to see if, you know, like this being out on the horizon, if this would hinder his like decision to upgrade now or wait. But I don't know. I mean, none of us really have any interest in upgrading a GPU. I don't think at any point. So,
Feasibly upgrade.
yeah. I mean, if you knew, be in Kevin's shoes for a minute. If this was coming to market next month, would you upgrade to like a current gen card now, or would you wait to see what like the 800 series would have to offer?
I mean, it's almost certainly going to be better. That's just kind of how generations work on hardware.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also still on the 500 series, so he's not. You know, he would then be 3 series behind. So it'll come at a high premium, but presumably if he got it, he could then last another 3 generations or whatever.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause, I mean, once like the 700 series started coming out, I was kind of sad I didn't wait to get a a different card than my, I guess, basically 770 over 670. I don't know, but I mean, I have a SLI now, and that's kind of probably should support me for a while. I hope. We'll see. On the 800 series, but I mean, of course, even after that, there are starting to become rumors of the 990 coming in early 2015, just because. And they're going to skip, because the 800 series will be on, I believe, the 28 nanometer architecture. And for the 990, the rumors are they're skipping the 20 nanometer process, and they're moving straight to the 16 nanometer, which is like huge. So I mean, that'll be a big upgrade, theoretically, for this card, if the rumors are true. But apparently it'll be the first half of 2015 from a report from Semi-Accurate, and this is a report comes from Tweaktown, which is a generally respected for rumors. So I mean, it's like, I don't even know what this even means. I mean, they're gonna just skip out on much of the 800 series. They're going to release them all at once, and then all of a sudden come out with a bunch of 900 series only like a few months later.
Well, they're probably all going to be different architectures.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have a couple of different ones. I don't actually know what the current revision is. I know they were on Kepler, and then Tesla was possibly going to be the 900 series. I don't know. They're all named after scientists, but it'll probably be a different architecture entirely. So
let's see. This would see NVIDIA release the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 990 under the Maxwell architecture from the GM204B core. So there's that.
So there's that.
Again, something I don't plan on upgrading to, even though I want to. I'll probably stick with it. Eventually we'll see 1000 series. That might be the time to upgrade. That'll be 4
right.
then. I don't know. Tom, I know you've been jokingly discussing trying to sell your 680s. Is that something you actually want to try and do?
Someone wants to buy both of them. See, Sean, that was the thing. Like, you ask how much I would want for one of them, but as I said, like, having one 680 and then the money from another 680 doesn't really do me any good in getting, another graphics card. Like, I could then buy another graphics card, but I would still have a 680. So unless I did some kind of thing where I like flashed the BIOS to trick it into thinking it was a 780, and then getting a 780,
which you can do.
I don't know if you can do it with the 80. I don't even know.
I think you can.
Either way,
you can.
It would possibly leave me with a $500 brick in my computer. So rather than doing that, I don't really know. I don't really know what my upgrade path is right now.
Okay, well, just wondering, but I think 2 680s is a little bit too much power for my brother to handle right now.
Well, yes.
That'll kick.
It's definitely a... you don't...
He's gonna because right now he was having graphics problems. Well, also he was having graphics problems with Payday, but also he's still starting to get it, how computers work. He's like, I don't know, my thing keeps crashing. I was like, Ryan, how many Chrome tabs do you have open? He was like, 20. All of those, each one of those is at least 50 megabytes of RAM. And he's like, oh. And I was like, close all of them. She's like, wow, everything runs so much faster. I was like, no shit.
Yeah, I've learned that PC building and life is just a learning curve to it, learning experience in the whole.
That's why I always support people building their own PC, because then they have the courage to have to upgrade and fix things down the road.
That's why you need a dual boot with Linux, and it'll hurt for a while, but then you'll come out the other side.
Nope.
Like freshly birthed calf. Ew.
That would happen.
See, the only thing higher than this PC master race is the free open source software master race.
No, Sean, you mean free Libre open source software? They just keep tacking on adjectives like, we're not open source only, we're Libre. And
that reminds
free.
me, I should have said GNU Linux, not Linux. We can't.
Yeah, it's GNU, actually. Richard Stallman pronounces it that way.
All right, we just lost the rest of our viewers. So
yeah, and that's everyone done, damn it.
It's just too much to handle.
Honestly, okay, yeah. Well, it's honestly the various subgenres of EDM or metal where it's we're actually hard step 180 BPM electro core pop. It's shut up, please. I don't care. I realize that open source is an ethos to some people, but to others it's just kind of hey, this is free. I fall in between. That's a different discussion.
I mean, I use it for the only open source things I use right now, I believe. Open Broadcast, that's what I'm using to stream
OBS.
this. That's
OBS
open source.
is open source.
LibreOffice, just because I'm too cheap to get Microsoft Word.
Also
Although my university is now giving us that for free.
Can I go on a small tangent about Microsoft Word?
Go for it.
No, it's brief, but so I learned this, and I have no source on this, but somebody said this, and it makes sense to me. So fact check me otherwise, but somebody in the comments can fact check me.
Yeah, right.
So in the late 80s, early 90s, the education system was realizing, okay, we need to teach American students about computers. So they went to the computing industry and asked them, what should we teach students about computers? But in the late 80s, early 90s, the computing industry in the United States was Microsoft. It was only Microsoft. And Microsoft was they should learn Microsoft products. So now every kid in the United States knows how to use fucking Word, but none of them can write a line of code, and Eastern European hackers are just tearing up the scene because they have code in grade school instead of fucking
Basically,
Word.
yes.
And
Basically,
so
yes.
That's
Yeah, but
still
actually,
resonating.
did you see that, to continue the tangent in it, whatever, that they're trying to get computer science recognized as a core, like I don't know what they're called, but
I don't
core,
know why
like,
it's not already.
core thing, yeah.
Like,
So it would be
it
like
very well
considered
should
along
be.
with like English, mathematics, natural sciences. It would be considered like computer science. That's like a thing people should know.
I mean,
it's terrible how little we're taught in schools. Like I probably like my whole life would have
In
taught
general,
me-
or
well, in general, but especially
yeah,
I mean,
Well-
I don't see why there aren't like. I mean, you can take like computer classes as like an elective, but it should be like a prereq.
I mean,
I think.
for our general education, you need to take something that can be satisfied by both CS courses or mathematics courses.
Mhm.
So like, it's the options there, but most people take math, and the people that take the CS are like doing it because they're like, I hate math, so they think they're gonna like just coast through, and then I have to TA them, and I just get mad when they.
well, that's why
Goddamn.
I finally was forced to take a CS class in college, and that's how I got into it. And I'm glad that somebody, if I had been forced to take it somewhere else down the line, would have been a
Yeah.
different story.
I mean, I was
Well, I mean,
really happy.
computer science isn't going away. Like computers
Yeah.
are. I think they're here to stay. I think we can say it's not a fad at this point. So knowing the more you know about them. Yeah.
So I was really happy, like even with our high school had Cisco. Like I thought that was awesome that
Cisco
we had
routing,
the
yeah.
opportunity. I mean, the first freshman you had to take the Microsoft Office class. So
I was about to say, I learned a lot in that class.
Oh yeah, right.
I actually kind of did a little bit, so, but it's like some things were kind of like, oh, that's kind of neat, and I now know how to do that.
Yeah.
But it's more
Well,
so just like being on the internet and doing nothing.
Sitting with all the stupid kids, being annoying.
Yeah. I mean,
That class is pretty painful.
oh yeah.
That's where
No,
I
but
met.
to kind of bring that back to what Sean started this whole thing with, like, to open source software. Basically, they just try to emulate like the market leaders. So like LibreOffice kind of tries to emulate, or at least in the earlier versions, try to emulate Microsoft Office. So it's like, I mean,
Mhm.
Well, because you have to like,
That's
because
what
that's
that
the
is.
thing is because Microsoft Office is the standard.
right.
Libre has to be able to convert to docx, or else like people are going to
In the business world, yeah, you just like can't do work. So
I mean, the nice thing though is at least Microsoft Word is like a great program. Like there aren't any like annoyances with it that I have. There aren't any like major flaws with it that I have. Like I mean, the fact that we have to use it, like, I don't have a problem with it because it works great for me anyway.
Yeah, but I would argue it's overpriced. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft
Oh,
Office,
yeah.
like fucking like $100
yeah.
for a program that lets me type text.
Well, now it's subscription based. So
What?
well, yeah, it's
yeah,
Office
365. Yeah.
And so instead of
Oh,
buying,
yeah, with fucking SkyDrive or whatever.
yeah, I mean, which I'm on both ends with this one because part of me likes it because you get all of the upgrades for free. So like, it's no longer like, you know,
Free.
Office 2010, 20 whatever. Like you get all of them continually through time. So it's kind of like with the the Adobe one subscription. Like you're constantly getting the newest version, which is nice. But then just constantly paying sucks
That's
too.
that's how they get
Especially
you.
when there's a free alternative.
Right, which is what I have primarily. I mean, I don't pay for Office on my end. I use LibreOffice, but now I only use it at school or work because it's provided for me. So that's another wonderful topic, is subscription for that. So I don't know. It's annoying, but it also has its pluses. I mean, like I do have the subscription for Photoshop, just because I like getting the newest version of Photoshop continually through time. One of the few programs that I will gladly pay money for because I love Photoshop.
Those updates, like the things that should be free, or
No, I'm talking. I mean, like
no, I know, like
Oh.
major revisions,
like major revision. Yeah, like instead of like CS5, CS6, like it's just Creative Cloud.
I know.
And I just
I'm aware.
throwing shit
I
in
know.
there.
I was at the protest against it.
You can see it
Jesus
now.
Christ. Jesus.
Come on, dude. I had a Guy Fawkes mask with my open source.
Yeah, of
I was
course.
I was walking a GNU down the street, chucking distro discs at people. Try Linux.
So for some reason, why is being nude like now the greatest thing for protesting? Like, I feel like that
Dude.
I'm
retracts.
glad you finished that sentence. Like, I thought that's great.
Why is so?
the greatest.
And the next news topic, being naked.
No, like, because I mean, that's like, I mean, one of like the big conspiracy theories, like crowds I'm always fighting, is like the whole chemtrail conspiracy thing.
Oh,
like, people
God.
believe that aircraft engines are leaving poison in the sky. But like, one of the more common protests lately is like women like dressing basically naked, very close, but not quite, and just like standing on corners with like, you know, Google geoengineering.com like written on them. And it's like,
I
I
think you
don't.
just discovered advertising. That's what that's
I
called.
mean, I know it's like, but the
putting
thing,
busty women with your name or logo equals money.
but like, who
That's-
honestly is going to like look at her and be like, I'm going to Google that right now? Like, I feel like that's not a real good, reputable source when I first
Did
see
you
that.
not? Did you not? Do we not host with GoDaddy?
Well, I host because it's just the most well-known one. That's the only reason I do
Yeah.
it.
Why is it the most well known? Because they have women shilling their product. See?
Wow.
Suddenly-
you just boxed him into a corner on that one.
I
there you go.
suppose you have a point there.
Suddenly, all marketing makes sense, and you're like, Jesus.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, sorry to bring it to you, man.
My whole life is now a lie. Moving on to the
Alright.
next topic.
Hold on,
Google!
can I take a quick in between here?
Yeah, go for it.
You died, Nick. I'm sorry. You were trying to put out a fire on an off-world colony, and you're dead now. So.
But did you name your crew members? Can you
Yeah.
name your crew members?
Yeah. Are you?
Oh, you're
kidding
talking
me?
about, okay, you're
fucking
talking about
do.
FTL. I
I'm
was
talking
so
about FTL.
confused
Yeah.
for a minute.
Oh, that was the
That's fine.
pilot too. Oh, we're fucked, dude. All right, sorry. Keep going.
I've been staring at this face on my monitor for the past few minutes, waiting to get to this topic.
Is it mine?
So Google sees the alleged child porn in man's email and alerts.
Wait, can you put
the
this guy's
police.
face up, like on the podcast?
Yeah,
Like,
this needs to be.
I
seen
I mean,
by
I have
people.
it on the video right now. I can screen share if that's what you're asking right now.
well, just like the viewers need to see, like, because when
Oh,
you
it's
see like
on
this
there.
man was arrested for child porn, then you see his face, you're like, well, obviously.
You're like, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it's I have it window in window or picture in picture right now. So it's yeah. I mean, if there was one guy, if I'd like pick out like a line, like if even like a lineup, like if I just saw this guy, I'm like, that's probably him.
He's
But
Not
this
that we
is
stereotype.
gonna be a real interesting discussion, I think.
Yeah.
So Google always scans your emails. That's just something that has always happened. That's something
Yeah.
you agree to in the terms of service. And they
so they
picked
can
up,
advertise to you.
yeah, so that primarily so they can target ads to you, which they were just sued recently in California because they're targeting ads towards college students, and people are like, don't do that.
Did you ever hear the story about the brief story? There's like they're trying to prank some guy in their office. These people, and I don't know if it's true, but they took his spoon, and it was like his spoon. It was like his big thing, and he was like freaking out they couldn't find his spoon. And then for weeks they would in their emails put in the bottom of the text in white text, so like you couldn't see it. They'd put spoon, 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 so that Google would pick it up, and Google would start slowly advertising silverware to him.
Wow, that's some meta shit right there. That's really next level.
Brilliant. But there was the other case where it was a Target there. Someone was targeting
Was
ads to
pregnant.
this woman because
Yeah.
like her searches were like for thought that she was pregnant, and so he like the dad caught on this like, why Target are you targeting these ads?
Yeah.
Took him to court, found out she is in fact pregnant.
Machine
Right.
learning, man. It's a
I've
magical
heard multiple versions of that, but
Brilliant.
it all centers around it turns out that the teenage daughter or whatever was actually pregnant or something.
Mhm.
I don't know.
But anyways, going on this, Google scanned his email, found child porn things in his email, and then alerted the police in Houston, like, hey, this guy, you should arrest him. Which they did. Which is both like, hooray! Child porn guy is off the streets. Which no one can attest to as it being a bad thing. But the
It's kind of the
fact...
scary thing is child pornographers are the easiest people to go after to start slowly infringing on rights because nobody ever is like.
That's a very valid point.
Like,
Because, I mean, this
Not,
raises...
not that I have the conspiracy that they're like first they came for the child pornographers and I didn't speak because before I was not a child pornographer. Like, not that.
But I mean,
Right,
it does
right.
raise the issue of how far is starting to get too far with this. Because the quote in here is what really kind of freaks me out. It comes from the police department. I don't know where it's at in here. Let me try and find it. So I mean, is this something that? Go on. Do you think Google should be scanning your emails and trying to find things from as little as this, not as little, but something like this, all the way upwards to like terrorism.
Well, so let me just really quick. Hold on, I just want to really quick go off what Nick was saying with the quote thing. I think it was something along the lines of where the police chief was like, "I don't have access to this, but like Google does," and it's kind of like goes back to what you said with you agreed to this in the terms of service. Like, police or law enforcement agencies are at least supposed to get a court order to like go through your things, but Google, like when you sign up for an account, you're agreeing to let them go through your things. So like, yeah. Just keep that in mind in the incoming discussion.
Like, you can't like sue them or anything, and it comes back to the central thing, like you don't like it, don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
the quote, by the way, is,
although they do search like emails that aren't like if somebody sends you an email from a non-Gmail account, that is also still screened.
Right.
I don't think they quite have the user information to report you to the police, but they do still screen.
Because the quote is he was trying to get around, getting caught. He was trying to keep it inside his email. I can't see that information, but Google can.
Yeah.
That's kind of freaky.
I mean, I guess what I would say, and what has always been said, it's the exact same thing with Dropbox. When Dropbox was giving people DCMA requests or like takedown notices because they were illegally sharing movies, and people were like, "Wait, Dropbox is going through my shit?" It's like, well, yes. I mean, they can do that. And what Dropbox said was like, if you want your things to be private, use a third-party encryption software, do it on your end, and then upload it. So, like, not to give tips to pedophiles, but, if you have something you don't want Google to see and you need to transport it via email, like, encrypt it offline, use it as an attachment. It's not hard to be secure. But that's my 2 cents. Like, from a standpoint of should they be doing this, like I recognize that they do it, and I do agree to it by using them. So if I want to keep myself safe, I'll use that, or I'll use actual encrypted email.
Well, the thing that was interesting to me about this, among other things, was that they obviously when they say that Google reads your emails, there aren't lines of people at Google reading people's emails.
Right.
Like they have scripts running on these, but they clearly they somewhere along the line somebody wrote a script is child porn, check picture, yes, no,
true.
It had to have come up, which they said it said in the article that Google has done some work doing detection so they can remove child porn from their image searches. So they have that database for something else. But they clearly chose, somewhere along the line, somebody chose that this is the thing that they're going to do. It didn't just, they weren't just, doing something oh, shit, they found it. They were actually looking for it in some way.
Right, no. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen not the white paper for it, but I've seen, they presented this algorithm that basically tries to see, the age of a person in a picture, which, you use for these things. So
you don't have to have people actually look at child porn, which talk about fucking worst job.
Yeah, well,
is child porn.
I've also read an article about the guy who has to screen YouTube videos that have been marked as offensive, and they're just the most horrible things ever. So that person, there is a person in the basement of Google whose job it is to look at just the worst shit all day long.
They put him in the basement too? Come on.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that guy's got to get a better office.
Yeah, right.
This is the direct quote from the terms of service from Google. Our automated systems analyze your content, including emails, to provide you personally relevant product features, ads, such as customized search results, tailored advertising, and spam and malware detection. This analysis occurs as the content is sent, received, and when it is stored. So, again, it's right there.
Back to the major point, taking this down the slippery slope, now I don't feel comfortable for any quote-unquote illegal activity I may be doing, discussing it over Gmail or Google products at all. Because it's hypothetically I'm working on a marijuana deal or I'm talking about illegal movies.
Yeah, right.
This, but they could that is in the same line as what they're doing, and they could easily detect it. And I don't know. It's kind of freaky, and I don't. I agree to it, but I don't know that I'm happy about that.
So, Claw's email, OpenPGP, everyone look it up. It's an encrypted email service. I'll leave it at that. All I'm trying
is
to
it
say
open
is
source, though?
It is open
okay,
source.
Good. All right,
What, do you think Tom would use it if it wasn't?
Okay, the one place you can't give me shit about open source is cryptography software, because like, why would you want some third party being like, hey, just trust us that this works and we'll keep your shit secure? Like, all I'm saying is that it's easy if you want to communicate securely. Like, there are channels. We've worked this problem out since like the 70s. We know how to do these things. It's just that normal people assume that companies like Google, whose motto is "Don't be evil," isn't gonna like, go through your shit. So,
I mean, overall, what do you think should be the bottom line of like, where should they start reporting things to the police? Like, what is like the lowest offense? Like, first of all, do you support them being able to scan emails and then reporting things to the police? First question. Well, let's go and see.
Not in general.
Okay.
I don't think they should become vigilantes.
No.
Yeah, they shouldn't like be actively searching.
Well, it's extremely Big Brother. Like
right.
You can't say anything. Like, if anything I said on Google or Facebook regarding illegal content was reported to the police, like the police just have a news feed of like, so and so just set up a drug deal at such and such address. Like, that's definitely like, that's taking it to an extreme end game, but that's like still in the same idea. So definitely not in a general way.
It's like I said, such a tough issue with this.
I think in strictly in terms of like companies like Google who are handling your data, I think when they have evidence, like something that could hold up in court, this guy he had illegal images on their servers.
He already was a registered sex offender,
right?
Too.
No, but he had these images. He can say like, Google can say, this is the evidence we have. This is something that you can present to a court of law. But like, if I PM Sean on Facebook like, hey bro, you got that ton of cocaine I ordered, like. In a court of law, Sean can't just be like, oh yeah, and then he texted me like, bring all the coke to this address. Like, that's circumstantial evidence. That's not something that like you can actually prove someone's doing wrong. So
I guess that's true. Like, the act of sending the illegal images was itself a crime that was committed via Google.
Right, and more so, like, if they did recognize these images and then didn't report this guy, it would almost be like it's on them to be like, basically a law officer could be like, you were an accomplice here. So, I mean, in cases of like that, but like in terms of trying to suss out like human interactions from their text interchanges, like that's not something I think that they should necessarily act on, and is just a matter of time.
Oh man. Again, it all comes back down to it's a free service, not paying for it. I don't know. It's scary. I mean, it's always like, I'm not doing anything illegal, so I don't care.
Nick.
What?
Right.
I mean, privacy died with the.
We're on a losing battle.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm optimistic, but I don't think that we can win.
With that attitude, we are.
I mean, like, the thing is, like, I don't know, like, honestly, how well like this stuff is working in terms of like, if you look at like more like the serious things like terrorism. I mean, the United States haven't had a terrorist attack, a real terrorist attack. Well, I guess Boston bombing. I'd say since 9/11. I mean, Boston bombing, I guess I would consider.
Boston bombing.
Well, I was thinking 9/11.
Times Square one.
Well, okay.
I'm just saying, the system clearly.
I mean, I'm talking about like more like really larger scale. So Boston bombing, I'd consider.
But I don't know if that
scale.
you can't say just because there hasn't been a big terrorist attack means the system's working. Either.
Exactly. Like, that's the question. Like, does it have something to do with it? Or?
I have my doubts, and I'm trying to keep my tinfoil hat off because I don't normally get on this.
Embrace
train.
it.
But like, there's been a lot. Like, there was something that came out the other day, and it didn't make super big splash because it wasn't directly the NSA. It was like the British intelligence agency, but they had apps for like influencing web forums and like web discussion. They could like make videos trending with this software, and like that's like beyond the point of observation to manipulation, and like that's even more fucked in my opinion than like. But me and Tom, we won't go into it now. We had long discussions about some of the hacks that these NSA guys did, which I always kind of wondered like about like their integrity. Like, I don't know a programmer who would be like who's on board with a lot of this privacy invasion stuff, but these guys that did some of this stuff, like obviously brilliant programmers, so they must just really hate terrorists or love America or what.
So I guess a final point I guess we can kind of touch on is, I know I've had this discussion before with several of you. Would you rather like live in like a safe world where everything you do is monitored, or a world like we have been living in where it's not necessarily safe, but you're completely, I mean, you have your complete privacy?
Well, if you're afraid of, like, if you think that the world that we're in right now, where we have relative privacy and relative unsafety, like, I'm not afraid. People who are afraid of terrorists are statistically idiots.
It's going on any like conspiracy theorist page.
But like,
well, actually, they don't even believe they're real, so never mind.
No, like terror does happen, but
yeah,
you're more likely to get killed on the way to your terrorist attack than by your terrorist attack.
Right.
Like it's just a fear-mongering thing, but it's not a major concern that we need to shit our pants over or track the entire United States populace over.
As long as you're not living in like Iraq, where like ISIS is just kind of taking over.
Well, yeah, genocide's generally bad. So
generally,
it's bad.
Did you see that article? We don't need to talk about the Israel-Palestine because that's how we lose all our viewers.
Yeah, right.
But there was the article
political here. But.
There was that article by some. He lives in New York, but he's Jewish, and it was like when the title of the editorial was "When Genocide is Permissible" by a Jewish man. And I was like, do you even understand?
Do you remember what happened?
Do you know what irony is?
Yeah, well,
it's all made to. It's just clickbait, making all that money.
Well,
the Tom
money
living safe world with no privacy, or privacy in a unknown world.
I'm always going to err on the side of privacy.
Okay.
Just because I subscribe to the theory that if someone wants to cause death and destruction, they're going to anyway, and no amount of state surveillance or policing will prevent that. I mean,
okay.
You just look at any amount of historical evidence, and you'll see that if someone wants to fuck your shit up, they will. So,
might as well not. You, Mark? Where do you sit on this discussion?
I think I agree with Tom. I mean, I'm a fan of my privacy, so.
Okay.
And I don't want the NSA knowing all the weird fetish porn I'm into. So.
Well, did you see that but just by Googling Tor, you
get put on a list.
Mm-hmm. Did you know Tor is mostly funded by the U.S. government?
Do you know it was invented by the U.S. Navy?
No, but that was the discovery of the day, which I Googled that and got put on a watch list. But
that's why you always download Tor through Tor.
You bootstrap.
How do you some next level shit here?
Flash drive,
except since Microsoft cooperates with the NSA and they now own Skype, all of this is just putting us everyone here and every viewer, all of you viewers. I hope you enjoy being on an NSA watch list. So.
We apologize in advance
for any black shit. Is that them? No.
All right, moving on. Just more quickly on the gaming side of things. This is all mainly console based, so we
back to the real world.
This is more so on the console side of things. None of it really affects us, but we can still have a discussion with. Again, we go back to the subscription debate. We had the EA Access. We talked about why PlayStation might not have picked it up, and that was because of their PlayStation Now service, which is now in beta, and it's now out there for everyone to. I don't think it's everyone. I think it's a closed beta still. But you can rent games for either 4 hours, 7 days, 30 days, or 90 days for a price that's determined by the game's publisher. So there's really no consistency at all in terms of the pricing for this. Again, subscription service on top of a subscription service. What do you think about that? I mean, some of these are kind of ridiculous. I mean, some games to rent for 4 hours, $5. Like, that seems a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah, but see, if I wanted to play through and see who killed Makarov in Modern Warfare 3, I could do that in 4 hours.
Sure could.
That's a true story. I rented Modern Warfare 3 from Redbox to find out how it ended.
Did you really?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I had that game and never played it. I played it once.
I'm not joking. I just wanted to finish it out, I really wanted to see what happened.
Right now I'm scrolling through the prices on PlayStation Now just so you can kind of see it's in alphabetical order, but go ahead, Sean.
In my mind, I don't know, that's kind of a lot, especially compared to Steam prices, but
that's the big thing.
I don't know. I spent like $10 to see Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, and that was 2 hours. So
Right.
on that scale, but I think movies are a little bit overpriced. That's not really a fair comparison. But
Well, definitely, yeah, it comes down to...
I don't think it's
No.
quite insane, but it is definitely more than
Right.
Steam.
Because there's
Well,
some
and-
prices on here, like for example, F1 2003, a racing simulator. It's the most. I think that's the costliest game on this. For 90 days, you can rent it for $50, as opposed to like buying it new or used for
60.
probably less than that.
Right.
A farming simulator is only $25 for 90 days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it... Well, obviously, the problem comes back to the fact that they're letting publishers or the game makers themselves set the prices. So it's like there is no consistency, and it's really just how they value their product, which may not be how consumers value it. But on a different note, or on a related, but not necessarily just the pricing note, like it's good to see at least Sony is getting some usage out of their Gaikai network, the whole streaming. That's what they bought, if anyone remembers, the streaming game service Gaikai, and now they're clearly putting it to use here.
Which I've
So-
seen some people play some of these games, like Killzone, really laggy multiplayer. Like
Really?
the multiplayer on there is pretty bad.
I've heard the latency is actually decent. Like,
Because it was
It's
I
definitely
think
playable.
GameSpot was a video I was watching originally, and the latency on the games wasn't bad, but it was actually the controls. Like there was a fairly decent delay in between when you would like walk and it would actually register as you walking, and that
Well,
was the
yeah.
problem he had with it. It wasn't the actual like servers like connection, but it was just the delay in your controls, which he claims
Well,
was really
'cause-
noticeable.
I mean, it has to go to their servers and back, so
Mm.
kind of makes sense.
So I mean, honestly, I don't think I would ever justify this if I owned a PlayStation. I'd rather just buy them, have a physical copy to keep.
It's definitely a nice to have, and if they can iron out the technologies, like,
Allow you
I
to
mean-
download them, then we'd be getting somewhere.
right?
If you can
Well,
download
especially
it,
on a closed
much
system,
better.
yeah, like especially on a closed system like a PS4, where like you can't really do that on. Well, you can do it on PC, but like you have a lot more issues like with piracy and stuff. But on PS4, which is a closed system, like presumably they could ensure that you're not like stealing their game. So
Mhm.
I think that makes sense.
Plus, it's DRM. Like you have to be online. If you rent a game, you have to be online to use it. So God forbid, like you rent a game and then your internet goes out for because like a storm hits for like a day, and you just lost all of that possible playtime. It's interesting. I mean,
Well-
that's what PlayStation's trying to bring to the table now, especially after the EA Access was released for Xbox One.
Well, I think
But
you
I mean,
guys
they
talked
kinda-
about it last week. GameFly came up, and like
GameFly.
the rent market probably like could see a little bit more use because like I definitely like, especially like a lot of single player games. Like I don't necessarily want to pay $60 for like something I
Right.
don't, unless I know I'm going to replay it. So
Right.
like some of this stuff I think is pretty reasonable. Especially 90
Mhm.
days is definitely like the longest I would probably play most games really. Like
Yeah.
except for like some truly
Well-
great ones.
I mean, I think it's also Sony kind of has to justify their purchase of this whole network, the Gaikai network. I mean, I don't think it was a poor choice on their part, but like they have this relatively low latency infrastructure that can stream stuff. So like you really see that in the PS4 with the whole I don't remember what it is exactly, but it's like the sharing feature where like you can invite a friend to like come watch you play, or like this obviously where it's streaming the game itself, but like they're trying to find cases where they need to stream stuff, which I mean, good on them for innovating at least, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's something new.
Right. Just kind of continuing with the wonderful console war. Microsoft I don't think this is confirmed yet. This is kind of leaked on their website, but I mean this is actually on the Xbox website, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's probably going to happen. Microsoft is dropping the price for the Xbox One again. The price is going to fall to $329.
What's it at now?
$399. So it's like an $80
Yeah.
price drop. This is from Geek.com. It's kind of interesting. Again, they're really, really still trying to get people to buy their console, which is really struggling. They're being outsold, on the other article from Extreme Tech, they're being outsold at a rate of 3-1 compared to the PlayStation 4. and the gap right now between them is 9 million PlayStation 4s compared to 5 million Xbox Ones on the market today. So they're being destroyed right now, and they need to do something radical to get their console back out there. I guess part of it, like Xbox really hasn't had too many big exclusives yet.
Oh, no. Well, we were
That's just
like,
the thing. Yeah.
like
I mean,
Titanfall is the one big
Right.
which is on
game that's
PC
not
too.
exclusive.
But I mean,
That's the
you're
thing.
you're hoping maybe they're trying to bank on Master Chief Collection, which is not even an original game. It's
Yeah.
a remake.
Right.
Getting off that Halo nostalgia.
Well,
which
they're trying to. I think the thing is they don't have a killer app. You know. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's why I'm like kind of saluting Sony for their like they keep introducing things like look at this streaming service that we have now. Like they're trying to give you things that will draw you to their system. Where I guess Xbox has like the TV integration thing, but
Which-
like
I don't know, like the
yeah, I don't.
the PlayStation 3 kind of had like they had the Blu-ray thing, and that was like a big thing for them.
That would definitely
Like it was a
help
cheap
them out.
Blu-ray player, but
Right.
like now, like I think Microsoft tried to copy a little bit out of that book. But like, look, you can watch Netflix on your TV. Like I spent $25 on a Chromecast, like and then
Right.
my Netflix on my TV. Why do I need to drop on an Xbox One to
Right.
have that feature alongside my gaming?
Do any of you have any interest in an Xbox? Not like disregarding price. Would any of you have
Like
an
if one
interest in
fell
getting
out of the
Xbox
sky,
One?
would I plug it in?
Yeah.
Yes.
And would you,
Although
like,
that
play
being
it?
said, I had my Xbox 360 sitting on under my television for the last 6 months, and I never plugged it in once. There's a
Yeah.
lot of factors that play with that, including a full semester course load, but
Mhm.
still.
I mean, even in the scenario where it drops out of the sky, like I don't know that I would because of what I said. Like they don't have a killer app to me. Like there's no game or no exclusive where I'm like, shit, I really, if I had that, I would play it. I mean, I just don't really care that much, I guess.
'Cause the only things I got really coming in the future would be Halo 5, and then the new Gears of War, which keeps getting delayed. So there's still no release date for that. All we know is
They're still making Gears of War.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like once Cliffy B left, didn't they just like kind of shutter the studio? Like, fuck it, we're
apparently
done.
not. Because I know that isn't.
Well, they like
Attempted to be in production.
money. So
Yeah, so I heard
Well,
they
obviously.
they're shit now.
what's Cliffy been doing now? Is he just like smoking weed every day now and like?
Oh, he's making a new game.
He started a new studio, yeah, and,
Started a
and
new
now he's
studio?
working on a game. Yeah,
Nice.
actually pretty nice.
Classic
yeah.
Cliffy.
So
I think it's
Sean,
coming to PC, but that's different.
I
Sorry.
say so. Sean, at the next follow-up question would be: is there any price that would at what price would you buy an Xbox
Would
One
I buy an
console at?
Xbox One?
In
Alright,
order
well, I'm
to
not
play?
buying Arma 3 for $40.
It's like
So
at a
let's
garage sale, you walk in,
extrapolate.
and the mom's
Xbox
clearly pissed at her kid, so she's like, "Here's $15 for an Xbox One." You're like, "Yeah, all right."
I probably like I could conceivably drop maybe $100, but that would be pretty surprising if I were willing to do that. Like because there aren't games. I would sooner buy a Wii U over a PS4
Yeah.
or a Xbox
Yeah.
because there's still like the Wii U is like still like there's new content that I can't get anywhere else. Granted, I think Nintendo should stop making consoles and just ship
license.
games, just license.
Yeah.
Holy shit, would that be? If I could PC Super Smash Brothers, the world would come to it. Like, economies would crash because people would be at home playing it.
People would stop. Yeah, they would just stop working.
All right.
So,
So,
yeah,
Tom,
so-
I mean, the answer to that would be never. You never buy it. If you didn't even want one, if
What
it
about
fell
a
from the sky,
negative
you'd
dollar amount?
clearly never.
Yeah, right.
How much would they have to pay you
They'd have
to
to
use
pay
it?
me to do it. I mean, no, I just, there's nothing there that I want really. I mean, maybe if it was like $100 bundle and it like came with some games that I was like, oh yeah, I would have that.
Mhm.
Yeah. This also assumes that you all suddenly got the same deal because having an Xbox One without anyone to play with is
Yeah.
kind of useless as well.
Because I mean, the point for me, it would have to be $200, and it would have to come with the Halo games. Because Halo is the only thing I want an Xbox One console for, and there's absolutely no other draw for me.
Nick,
for
we're
it.
running long on the podcast today, so we won't.
Yeah, no,
remind
this
us
is
for
the last
next
topic.
week. No, remind us the next week to talk about your obsession with Halo and why.
It's not really an obsession.
And
It's just the
why
only
the
thing
hell?
that I have any remote interest in Xbox.
Okay.
I mean, that's just that's why it keeps
But
coming out.
doesn't Halo come to PC as well, or no?
Well, Halo 1 and 2 are,
Not since 2, yeah.
and then there's the new Halo Spartan Assault.
Okay.
But besides that, that's it. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the topics I had. I don't know if there's
Thanks for asking me
anything
if I would buy an Xbox.
else. Would you buy an Xbox One, Mark?
No.
Nah. Nice, man.
I mean, is there? I mean, do you have any draw at all for an X? Like, is there anything on it or any game that's
I would
exclusive to it?
love to play the Halo thing, but maybe it'll come out on
Yeah.
PC eventually. Probably will.
Yeah, I'm still hoping.
If they're not selling any, they might.
And I definitely wouldn't buy an Xbox just for that. So unless they come up with some awesome exclusives in the future and the price drops like it should, maybe, I don't know, then maybe I would, but I don't see that happening.
All right. Speaking of which, with Microsoft, Gamescon's coming up next week. I still don't know if we're going to be able... I want to live stream, do a BoBCast during Gamescom, which I think would be kind of fun, like during the press events. However, the Microsoft one's at 7:30 in the morning, so I don't know if I'd be up at that hour.
Unless we just game through the night up to it.
I mean, I'm
We're
totally
all
down
drunk
for
at
that.
7 in the morning.
The
Like,
Sony one's a little bit more
reasonable.
available. That one's at, I think, 11 a.m. So there may or may not be a special BoBCast next, I believe,
Okay.
Monday. That would be the 12th.
Exclusive.
Tuesday, yeah, next Tuesday. So yeah, we might try and do that. Otherwise, we'll have a recap on BoBCast 4 on that Wednesday. Any other topics you guys anything else you want to discuss real quick?
Don't
We
think
didn't
so.
get to hit up the EM Drive engine, but that's
Mhm.
basically just me getting a chance to yell at people on the internet about it. So we could,
Do you want to, or do you want to skip it?
hold on. I'll think of a 10-word answer. Be healthily skeptical, and Google Phil Plate's response, because it was very well written about 2 years ago. They thought they saw neutrinos going faster than light, and it was a broken wire. So no, XKCD, that's what it was. That was the best response. XKCD today did something about it, and they're like,
Yeah,
if
they
you
did.
put 20 kilowatts into anything, something weird would probably happen.
Yeah.
If you put 20 kilowatts into me, like, it'd be pretty weird. So I'm not saying it won't work, because that's just an irresponsible thing to do as a scientist, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, John. Remember that.
Exactly.
Again, just real quick, that was about this drive that apparently can use microwaves to power this thing without any fuels.
It uses
At all.
it bounces microwaves around in a conical cavity and generates a net force, and violates momentum conservation because they don't know what it's pushing off of. And NASA claims to have tested it and gotten like 50 micronewtons of force out of it, but also they didn't test it in a vacuum. And they made two models, and they made one that was supposed to work and one that was supposed to not work, and they both worked, which just really shows they have no idea what the fuck's going on. And they made no claims that they know what's going on. But so, like most things, the internet was just like, "Oh fuck!" Like it's like that thing with the bumblebee. Like scientists don't know how bees fly because bees don't know this; they fly anyway. Like no, shut up. Science.
Shut up.
All right, well, thank you for watching the third BoBCast podcast. Hope you enjoyed this video. All the links for these stories will be in the video information below if you're watching this later in time. Thanks for watching again. We are live streaming for at least for the rest of the summer, Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. That'll probably change once we get into the school year, so beginning of September. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time. Yeah.
Hooray.
I feel like I should move this in. Like, you guys are all, like, filling your camera. I should, like, zoom it.
Well, no, I'm getting a good shot. Like your Breaking Bad poster and your disco ball.
Yeah, right? Like, I got all my stuff here. All right. I didn't want to do this during the podcast.